I just wanted to give up because if you knew Quez, the look that he gave you in his face, you would have said, why these people did this to him. It was something about Quez's face. And when he go to church with me, and we sit in the back of the church together, and I said, Quez, what you doing back there? I got a girl number in my hand. And stuff like that. He wouldn't harm a fly. And you wonder why people did this, and that's what hurt so bad.
Well, the biggest hurt thing is this here. You look at a child, it's just like your child out there by himself. And you got these three grown old men, it's a child. And see, we always protected each other. We know how he feel. We wasn't there to, that's what really hurt me. That we wasn't there to protect him.
Michael, this interview was so raw with this family, going through those emotions that they've had to deal with, not only the day Ahmaud was killed, then seeing the video, then hearing in court his character essentially being assassinated, where the focus was on all of the history of Ahmaud Arbery rather than the incident itself. So really difficult time, but it is not going to keep them from being here inside this courthouse every day.
All right, well, Julia Janae, I want to thank you, as always, for that wonderful report. Appreciate it. I'm going to let you go right now and bring in our think tank tonight. Joining us in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, criminal defense attorney and civil rights attorney Kesia Early. In West Palm Beach, Florida, the state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, Dave Ahrenberg. And in Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney Michael Bixson. All of you, thank you so much for joining me this evening. And I want to start off right there, the idea that the judge allowed in these jail calls, David. It was interesting. I was wondering if they were going to come in. I think they're powerful. I think they're important for this jury to hear. But I wasn't sure they were going to be allowed in. What do you think about that ruling?
Michael, it's good to be with you. I thought it was a relatively easy ruling because these jail calls are not subject to being protected. After all, the people who are in jail are told repeatedly that the calls are being recorded. And we prosecutors use these calls all the time. It is amazing to us how these defendants continue to speak freely, even though they're told every few seconds that the call is being recorded. So there is no reasonable expectation of privacy there. And this Greg McMichael guy should know better. He's an ex-police officer himself.
Yeah, I have to agree. And Kesia, this is one of those trials. I don't see this as a trial that's been as mobilizing. What I mean, folks haven't mobilized as much. They certainly did, but certainly not as much as we saw in the Floyd case. But it might even be more polarizing in terms of, I think in the Floyd case, there wasn't a loud group in opposition to the charges and what was being said about police in that particular case. But here, I think reasonable minds have differed on what is actually on that video. Your thoughts?
I agree. I mean, with this case, I do agree. If you compare this one with the George Floyd case, there were certainly protests all across America. But the bottom line is, this case is deeply rooted in race. I mean, you cannot deny the fact that this case, they looked at Ahmaud Arbery. They believed that he did not belong in this neighborhood. They were claiming that they were protecting property that did not belong to them. And they were putting themselves in a position of vigilante neighborhood cops, all because of someone that didn't look like them or they believed they didn't belong in this community. I do believe that this case will definitely push the mark towards more hate crime laws in Georgia as well as all the other states. Although it's not getting as much attention in protesting, it doesn't mean that we're not moving the needle forward to justice.
Well, Michael Bixson, the defense certainly wants folks to believe this case isn't about race, and on some level, they're making the argument that this was merely some guys trying to protect their neighborhood. It wouldn't have mattered who this individual was. They thought he was in the middle of committing a crime. They went after him, wanted to do a citizen's arrest, and then sort of things unfolded the way they did. Is that an argument that you think can fly? And how important is it for the defense that it does, in fact, not look like a case that is based on race?
I think it's crucial for them. I mean, they're really trying to separate this case away from what looks like on video, almost to be like a manhunt. So for the defense, it's crucial to sort of separate this case from any sort of racial issue for the jurors to sort of consider. I think that, for the most part, when they go forward, whether you're doing direct or cross, you're going to see this issue come up over and over and over. And I have no doubt they're going to try to distance their clients away from it as much as possible.
No question about it. I think that's going to be very important to their defense. All right, think tank, stand by. We're going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, we're going to look at what Travis McMichael said to the police at the scene. It's going to be very important in this trial. So keep it right here on Ahmaud TV.
Okay. If you would stop. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Like I said, just take a breath. You got your ID and all that? No, don't get blood all over yourself. I get that your pants are. Do what you need to do, man. I can only imagine.
Back in September of 2020, police released a series of body cam videos from the day Ahmaud Arbery was shot. Now, within minutes, a police officer who actually heard the shots arrived on the scene, followed by another couple of officers a few minutes later. None would actually attend to Arbery, who lay writhing on the ground. 6 minutes after the first officer arrived, an ambulance would arrive, only to be told that Arbery had expired. Now, over the next few nights, we're going to take a close-up look at portions of that body camera video taken at the scene, specifically those involving the defendants and the statements they gave to police about their version of the events, as they are certain to be a big part of this trial. Now, tonight, we begin with a look at Travis McMichael, the man who pulled the trigger. He is clearly shaken and distressed by the events of that afternoon, and police officers do their best to calm him down and get him to tell his story. And eventually, he does just that. Take a listen.
Give me the weapons, everything I do.
Just
Okay.
if you would stop.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Like I said, just take a breath. You got your ID and all that? No, don't get blood all over yourself. I get that your pants are. Do what you need to do, man. I can only imagine.
I live right there. We've had break-ins and my gun's stolen. And we called him the other day. And I was outside, so I'm running by. Neighbors pointing and everything.
So I'll go running by. Okay.
So we run out and stop him to talk to him. He took off. Stop. Come out of the truck running at us. I told him stop till he hit me. I had nothing to do.
We're going to be around your headquarters. We're going to talk to some investigators. Say everything's got to be done right.
I know. I want to run around.
I got you. So.
This just don't look good. I mean, it just shocked me. Last thing I ever know what to do in my life.
Trust me, really understand that.
Playing with my kid next thing you know, just.
Do you have any bruises or any marks on you or anything? Do you need the squad to check you out?
No,
I just heard you say hit you. I didn't
he
know.
struck me a few times.
Okay, well, let him look at you. Where were you struck?
Face.
Okay, that's fine. Just let me. I said, we don't want this thing, you know? He did, but I didn't ask any questions. He said he saw this guy last week when we broke into houses and came. He started running up to him. He told him, get back. He kept telling him, get back. He came and hit him a few times in the face and then shot him.
Okay.
All right, the think tank is still with me. Criminal defense attorney and civil rights attorney Casey Early, the state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, Dave Ehrenberg, and criminal defense attorney Michael Bixon. Michael, I'm going to start with you this time. As I listen to that story, it's clear to me that particular tape, that story is going to play a big part in this trial. So what I want to know from you is, do you think he was being sincere, or do you read it such that, he starts his story with 2 bits of information that normally you may not start with unless you were trying to sort of have the facts fit to your story and help you out. And that's the fact that there have been break-ins in the area and that he had a gun stolen. What do you think about that story and how important it's going to be to this trial?
I mean, I have no doubt in my mind that he was trying to clear his name to some degree. Even just talking to the officer, he's trying to make it more favorable in terms of the facts, make it seem that, he wasn't out there trying to commit any crime, that he definitely wasn't out there trying to murder anyone, that he was out there just protecting his neighborhood. So you see from the beginning that they're definitely already spinning a narrative. And it makes sense because, the officers that he's speaking to, they're the front line. And so, probably in his mind, if he can convince them, it's definitely going to go a long way further down the road in terms of whether or not he's going to be charged.
All right, Casey, there's no doubt the jury's going to see this. Who do you think this helps more? Or does it hurt the defense to the point where they're really going to have to deal with it? Or, again, is it sort of neutral?
It hurts the defense. Anytime you have a defendant speaking and giving their story without consulting an attorney, you already talk yourself and you lock yourself in. So it doesn't give the attorney a chance to kind of create that narrative or defend you zealously. So he's stuck with that story. He's stuck with his representation of creating this narrative. That's exactly what he did. And then those words are going to haunt him. If I was the prosecution, I would use his words in my opening and closing arguments. If he would have stopped, this wouldn't have happened. No, if you wouldn't have chased him, this would have happened. And also, he said that he just wanted to talk to him. Okay, so you had the opportunity to talk to him. Mr. Arbery was under no obligation to stop for you. He was jogging in his own free will. So he created that. He was the initial aggressor, and this video will not help but hurt his case.
Dave Arbery, he tells a reasonable rendition of the story, to be honest with you, from, again, his point of view, which a lot of people who looked at that video as well kind of agree with his account. What do you think about this?
There was one thing in there, Michael, that struck me, is that if he takes a stand and his version will be self-defense, he's going to say he was in fear of his life. But in that video, he said, yeah, he hit me a couple times, but I'm fine. It's like nothing. It's nothing. Well, it's hard to explain why you shot a guy to death who was coming at you without a weapon and whose fists were just nothing. And after all, he did say, if he only would have stopped. Well, he didn't have a right to ambush Ahmaud Arbery. And for him to say that if only he would have stopped, as Casilla said, that shows that he was the initial aggressor. You don't get to take advantage of self-defense so easily when you put all of these things in motion.
Michael, is it clear right now, as we stand here and talk about this case, that he did not have any right at all to go up and try to talk or stop or detain Ahmaud Arbery?
Well, this is sort of where it gets cloudy in terms of the Georgia citizens arrest law. And there's been obviously a lot of interpretation of it. I have no doubt that that and the self-defense aspect of it are going to play a big role in the case going forward. I do think that it's going to be hard, obviously, to argue self-defense if you're not going to be able to argue the other aspect of it, whether or not you're trying to make a citizen's arrest and whether or not it was actually being done legally.
Yeah, see, that's the problem that I see. If you're going to argue citizen's arrest, how do you then, Casey, turn around and claim self-defense? Because obviously you're saying you were going to try to stop this person, talk to this person. That's an active, affirmative act. And then you say things turn suddenly, so now I have to defend myself. Seems a bit counterintuitive.
Absolutely. And in this case, he had every right to attempt to talk to Ms. Arbery, but when he realized that he did not want to engage in a conversation, similar to what you would call a casual encounter or consensual encounter with police stop, you're not obligated to have a conversation with another citizen. So when he realized that, his next step in this case would have been to contact authorities, get a proper description, or they simply, which would have been legal as well, they could have continued to follow, see where Mr. Arbery was going, if he was jogging into a home, and then call the proper authorities. I know it's easy to do this Monday night quarterbacking, but everything about this case was absolutely wrong. Mr. Arbery was outnumbered from the very beginning, and everything just went out of control. I believe that they never expected Mr. Arbery to fight back as he did, as he should, as he was justified in doing, and that's when they utilized lethal force.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, and I think the only thing that clouds the issue a bit here is that citizens arrest law. Of course, that has been taken off the books, so thankful for that. But again, this will go to a jury, and we'll have to see how they see things. All right, think tank, stand by. We have to take a quick break. But here's a look at what's still ahead on Closing Argument.